Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. This is Dostin Hurtado and this is chapter number 3 of Excel Basics. Here we're going to learn how to use the yes function in a simple, easy, and practical way. Ready? Well, the yes function is one of the most important functions in Excel. If not the most important, honestly, for me it's the most important function in Excel. Ready? It's the first one in which you can do something dynamic, that is, something that changes, something that isn't the same. I'll explain what I'm getting at with this. Okay, we have a table, in this case a grades table. We have some students, right? Here we have the students' first and last names. We have some subjects and each subject has its grade. Let's say 2 and they got 5s and everything, right? So, to find out what this student's final grade is, I first need to do an average, right? In other words, average the grades. So, what I do is get a function, from the fx button. We can click here, we can click on formulas, insert function, or simply with the keys Shift F3. It's the same, insert function. Everything will take me to the same place. I insert the function. Obviously I first go to the place where I want the result. I look for the average function. Here it is. If the average function is not there, I go to everything and look for the average function with prio. Here it is, average, and I click accept. What do I want to average? The grades of 2 students. And I click accept. I get 5.0. Why? Because everyone has a 5. I'm going to drag this so that it averages everything. Remember that you can also keep doing it, right? Average, we don't need everything anymore because we've already used it. I'm going to look for average, accept. I select the grades and click accept. No, that doesn't make sense. Done. That's it. We didn't come here for this, we came for the function, yes. Now, how does a student pass? A student in this case passes with a grade higher than 3. Why? Because it's half plus 1. The maximum grade is 5. Half of a CCO is 2, which is 2.5 plus 1, which would be 3.5, but since it's already very high, what teachers do is leave it at 3. This is in Colombia. I don't know if other countries also handle grades up to 5. Yes, in some places they handle grades up to 10 or even up to 100. Yes, it's the same principle, half plus 1. If it's up to 10, half of 10 is 5 plus 1, 6. That's the minimum grade to pass. Since we know that the minimum grade is 3, in this case, we're going to have this program automatically calculate the student's grade, that is, whether they passed or failed. Do you understand? Here, a teacher, what does he have to do? Tell him he passed. 2.7 failed. 3.3 is greater than 3. He passed. 1 by 1. Yes, you'll understand me. If a teacher has 100 students, he has to do it 1 by 1, 100 times. Yes, this is not viable. This will never be viable. And why is it done 1 by 1? Well, because you grade them, you show the grade to a teacher, a guardian, a parent, for example, and they'll say, well, what happened with that grade? Did he fail? What the hell is that? Quote, yes, you'll understand me. So, for ease, well, I'm talking about grades. I'll give you another example with invoices right now. Okay. Yes. Now I'm going to insert the if function by clicking on F(x). We're going to look for used recently. Well, here it is, right? But we can go to everything, click on anyone, just one click and press the S key and start pressing it. S, look at it here until we get to the if function. Let's accept it. This function is very practical. First, let's see a little bit about its definition. What is the yes function useful for? The yes function is to determine from a question if I want to do something, if that question is positive, that answer, if it is positive or if it is negative, to do something. In more Colombian words, in simpler words, for example, if the student gets a grade higher than 3, then they pass, if not, then they fail. Yes. If a person pays in cash, give them a percentage discount. If not, don't give them any discount. If the product is from Bear, buy 100. If it is not from Bear, buy 10. Do you understand me? In other words, everything is a question and that question has a positive value, that is, a positive result, and a negative answer or a false value. In this case, Excel calls it that. Now, looking at the practice, what can we do? If this average, no, look at the grade, this grade, remember that it can change, this name can change in the next semester, it can change again and it doesn't matter. Let's click on the average. If this average is greater than 3, right? because 3 is the minimum grade to pass. What happens if he gets more than 3? If he gets greater than 3, then basically the student passed, right? And if he doesn't get a grade greater than 3, in other words, if it's the opposite, well, what would happen? He failed. Do you understand me? Let's click accept. Why did I say not to look at this grade? Because it's simple. I can tell that student, no, you didn't get a 5, you got a 1, and see that it went down to 3.7, and you didn't get a C in Word, you got a 2. 2.7 means you automatically failed. Do you see? I mean, this is where the system works because everything is automatic. Ready? Let's try to do it down here again. Now I can click on recently used because I just used it. So, if this average is greater than 3, the student passed, and if not, they failed. Accept it. There it is, 2.7, then they failed. But if, let's say, the teacher is really cool and says, no, come on, poor girl, no, she already worked, she was very conscientious. Let's raise it to a 4 here. He passed, yes. Automatically, everything is automatic. Ready? Good. And, what other way can we do it? Let's remember that this major has several types of grades, several grading criteria that Excel has, right? Grading for students, right? I mean, we can make comparisons. There's the highest, there's the lowest, there's the highest equal, lower equal, there's the different, and in its absence there's the equal. You just saw that on the screen. Yes, in this case it's an example with a major, but I can put here, let's say, I'm going to delete this, I'm going to delete it, and I can put a function if indicating that if this grade is less than 3, what happens if it's less than 3? Well, the student failed, right? That he got less than a 3. And if not, that is, that he gets a grade greater than 3, then he passed. Accept. There it is, look, 2.7 he failed, but if here I give him a 5, for example, he passed. It works too. Each person has your own logic. Just apply it. Done. I can drag here and it's basically done. Everyone passed. Well, let's put a 1 here again, and there it failed. And this one, if we put a 2, 3.0 passed, dragged. 3.0 passed. Let's put a 1 and there it failed. Done. Now let's do another example. Let's call this invoices. And let's do the example here, a subtotal. Subtotal would be the sum of all the products. This is an invoice, right? We saw that in chapter number 1, only I complemented it, right? Let's do an octosum indicating that I want all its values added together. A discount. This is where the function works. Yes. Let's see. My boss, so to speak, tells me, we're going to give a discount to all the people who pay me in cash. In other words, they come and he says, I'll pay you in cash right away. Yes, but if he were to pay me, oh no, in installments with a credit card, in 2 installments, in 3, in 12, in 24, 48, he will no longer give a discount. Only when he pays in cash. So, what can we do? Well, a function, yes. Let's see. Functions, yes, except. If this cell is equal to cash, it is in uppercase, it doesn't matter, but in order I'm going to put it in uppercase. If it is equal to cash, if it is true, see, here I get an error. Why does this error appear? Because the cash function does not exist. If you want to compare with a text, do it in quotes. Now I'm going to close the quote. If it is equal to cash, then multiply the subtotal by the 10% discount to give me the 10% discount. If not, 0% discount. Do you understand me? I'm going to click accept, and in this case the 10% discount, 10% of 5,001 is 500,000. If you pay me with a credit card, you don't get any discount. That little line is 0. Ready? Why do I get these little lines? Because it's 0 and I have thousands. If I didn't have thousands, 0 appeared. 0. If I put thousands, a line appears. Done. Here it is, see, and by putting cash, we automatically have 500%. Now, what can we do? Equal this minus this and whole. And there we have the total, that is, the total in this case the customer would pay 4,500,000 is 5 in total, and we subtract 500,000 of discount. Yes, notice how the function does work. See that here we have it written. Let's do it in writing. Let's hit delete. Let's give the same name to the function, that is, yes. And I open parentheses. If this cell is equal to gold, quotes, I close the quotes. Here I'm going to make a semicolon. On my computer it's a semicolon. On your computers it can be a comma or it can be a semicolon. I recommend that you download this file that is in the description of the video to determine if your computer handles commas or semicolons. In this case, if you look here, if the separation of logical test and value is true, there is a semicolon. If you see a comma, it's because you work in commas and not semicolons, okay? Done. If D4 is equal to cash, then multiply the subtotal by the 10% discount. If not, semicolon, if it's false, then put 0 for the discount. 0. I close the parentheses and press enter. There it is. If I put financed, enter, no discount and pay 5,000 ones. Done. Basically with this we finish the function. Yes. I hope the function is very clear. We have applied the equals and we have applied here in this case the lesser, and I already explained to you with greater as well. Basically you can use greater than equals, less than equals, different, whatever you want. For example, here I can put that if it is different from cash, see, if it is different from cash, come on, let's do it. Let's delete it. Yes. If this cell is different from cash, what happens if it is different from cash? In other words, if it does not say cash, if it is different, do not give a discount. And if it is equal, then multiply the subtotal by the 10% discount. Enter. Yes, since it says cash, then I give you the discount. If it is different, that is, financed, well, or credit, if it is different from cash, then it will not give you a discount. Note that the logics are different. You can use different, you can use equals and everything is fine. If, in other words, all the logics are good. Just do it. I know you will not get stuck. Done. Let's remember that we have made quite a bit of progress. This is the third chapter and everything we can do with Excel. I think that's more than enough for some. However, if you want to continue learning, there are more chapters that I know you want to continue learning, right? Or that's the idea, that you work Excel well. Ready? I hope you have a great day. I'm speaking to you 2 times and I hope you enjoyed the chapter. Remember to rate it and see how it went. Comment and I'll answer you. Yes, maybe a little late, but I'll answer you. Okay. Have a great day.